Hi, I'm Matt with Xerox, and we're going to go through the Xerox Workcentre 3345. We will talk about the device overview, how to change paper, how to change toner, how to remove jams, how to prevent those jams, as well as the functionality: copy, scan, fax, and print. So let's get to it. Starting at the top, talking about the device, we've got the document feeder. It's going to hold 50 sheets if that's important to you. Face up is how we're going to load that when we're copying and scanning. If you are using the glass, you're going to load face down. We'll talk about the screen and buttons shortly, but to get ahead to the paper tray, you got one main one here. It holds 8.5 by 11 paper. If you have legal size that you want to use, you might notice here there's a clip that you can simply press and then extend, and then it'll hold that legal. I'm going to slide this right back in. There's also a bypass tray or a manual feed if you're doing any special printing, like for labels, cardstock, envelopes, so on and so forth. To get that open, all you have to do is right above the Xerox logo, just press with a little bit of pressure, and you'll be able to open that and unfold that tray out. Go ahead and load that paper. Anytime you load the paper in the trays, it's going to ask you to confirm on the screen the size and the type. That's to make sure that it knows exactly how to treat the paper, so it heats up properly, doesn't melt glue on labels, so on and so forth. One important thing here in the front to notice too is that this is where we're going to change our toner. It's a little hard to see, but there's a little blue button right here, and so if you press that down, you can open up that front, and the toner easily just pulls right out. So once it tells you on the screen to remove this and replace it, just take it out like that, and then you're just going to slide the new one in. Make sure it clicks in, close the door, and then you're good to go. If a jam occurs, it'll tell you where to go on the screen, but you can either take out the front tray, just like I showed you before, and or, depending on the instructions that it gives you, you can also open the back door to access the paper path there. Just be a little careful here. That's where the fuser is. That's what heats up the paper and the toner so they stick together, so it might be a little warm. Once you just pull the paper out gently, go ahead and close it up, and then refer to the screen to make sure that nothing else is stuck. The best way to prevent jams is to simply fan the paper before loading it. All that means is just flip through it, let that air into it. When it gets really staticky in the colder months or humid in the hotter months, that paper will stick together. So that fan, as simple as it may seem, is gonna help quite a bit. The other thing that you'd want to do too is if you're using special paper like labels, letterhead, cardstock, so on and so forth, when you load that paper in the tray, it's going to automatically ask you the size and the type and the color. So you're going to want to confirm exactly what it is so that it treats it correctly. It heats up properly, pushes it through at the right speed so that it minimizes the propensity for getting stuck. All right, let's talk about the touchscreen. So you've got a couple buttons on the left-hand side here. Your home and services button basically do the same thing. So if you're in one of these functions or in another menu and you want to get out, simply just press one of these and you'll see the home screen here. You've got your jobs button on the left-hand side here where you can see your active or completed jobs, as well as your machine status button, which will show you things like supplies, so on and so forth. Let's stick with home though and talk about good old copy. So it's pretty cut and dry. It's going to walk you through it. Once you load your originals, all you have to do is choose your quantity and then press that arrow on the top right. And then you've got your settings here where you can change whatever you want. Just press the button that you need to change, and then you've got your menu there. Important note about two-sided copying, it's pretty simple, but the number on the left is the number of sides on the originals, and the number on the right is the number of sides on the copies. Once you're done, you'll notice the big green start button on the right-hand side. Just press that, and then you're good to go. A couple other options you have as you scroll through are your reduce and enlarge, paper supply if you want to specifically copy to a certain tray, your image options, book copying, so on and so forth, right? So basically if you just want to open up one of these menus, pretty self-explanatory of what you need to press, and then just press OK before pressing that green start button again, and then out it'll come. Let's talk about scan to email. From the home screen, we're going to press the yellow email button. Now you have the choice to either enter recipient, So you can manually type in this, this email address. Notice that the app button is on the right-hand side. You can also access the device address book, where you can store your names. After you've added that name, either press that green start button on the control panel, or to change other settings, press the arrow on the top right, and then you've got a couple options: two-sided scanning, color scanning if you'd like. Notice that the color scanning is free, so feel free to use it as much as you want. You've got your attachment name, your subject that you can change if you'd like. Whenever you press these, they just open new menus that you can then navigate through. Light and darken, resolution for quality, but anyway, just choose whatever settings you need to before you press that green start button. If you'd like to add an email to the address book, or a fax to the fax address book for that matter, all you got to do is access the device's web interface. That's done by typing its IP address into the address field of a web browser. But this website, which you see here, is pretty easy to navigate. You'll notice near the top toolbar there is an address book tab. So after you click that, it'll connect, and then you'll see the names that are already in there, so you can edit or delete them. And then, as you see on the top left, our add button that's green, when we click that, you have the opportunity to add a name, and then down below your email or fax number. Once you scroll down and save those, they will be accessible via the address book at the device. To send a fax from the home screen, just press that green fax button. And then you have the option to either enter a recipient manually or through the address book. To enter the recipient manually, just type in the number and then press OK on the top right. Know that if you need to dial a prefix for faxing, like 9 or 8 or 1, it's not up to the device, it's up to whatever your fax line requires. So just type in the number as is, press OK, and then that top right button will let you choose any other settings you want. But if you just want to keep it simple, just type in the number, and then like with anything with copying and scanning, just press that green start button on the bottom right, right here, and then you're good to go. When it comes to printing, the print drivers for each Xerox device will be added automatically to your computers. Notice the naming convention is going to be the business unit, floor, department, and color or black and white. You just want to click printer properties to access the other settings that you have at your disposal. And then let's just go through these relatively quickly here. You've got a robust menu here of all the things you can do. We're going to stick with this main tab. In the job type menu up top, you can print normally where it just shoots out, or you can select other options. A nice one is the secure print feature if you want to send jobs and have them release at a later time with a code. When you click that secure print, you can type in whatever code you want. And then when you go into jobs at the device itself, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 days later, whatever, you can release that with that code. You've also got your paper menu. One important thing to notice, I know we were talking about this before, where if you have special paper like labels or letterhead or cardstock, if you confirm the paper that's in the tray first, it will automatically show up in the list of papers right there. So if you load labels, call the label. When you saunter back to your desk, it's going to tell you, yep, that tray has labels. If you don't want to load that paper first, if you want to just send the job and say, you know what, I want to go to cardstock, what you can do is you can go to the other type menu in the paper menu, tell it to go to cardstock, and then click OK to print. That job will send to the device, but it'll wait for you because that cardstock hasn't been loaded yet. Other jobs can print around that job, which is extremely important. You're not holding anybody else up. When you are ready, all you have to do is load the paper in the bypass tray typically, call it cardstock because that's what you called it at your computer. Those settings will match up. It'll say, hey, great, they finally loaded that cardstock, and then it'll print for you. So it's a really easy way to send the job, not have to go back and forth running, right? Nobody print, nobody print. You can just send it first and then walk over nonchalantly when you're ready and print that special paper. Other things you can do are change one-sided, two-sided, so on and so forth. Finishing is where you can go to staple. You can also change your settings from black and white to color. Notice these little icons to the left. You can also click those to make your changes, and you can change your print quality when you're printing. We hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or needs, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to help. Thanks for your time.